What does the modern business environment look like? We are in an age that has been described as the world becoming flat, which essentially means you have global competition, even in local markets. You have e-commerce deliveries, and even for services, there are online services that provide, including LinkedIn, ways of finding contractors or people to do work that are outside even the country in order to proceed. Part of the thesis that LinkedIn was founded on is that every individual is now becoming a small business. What do I mean by that? I mean that every individual, like a typical job, lasts 2 to 4 years. So there's a sequence of jobs. There's a set of skills where the skills you don't learn only in your business, you learn them from being connected to the network around you. The question about being competitive is not just, of course, what's competitive today, but what's competitive tomorrow, and being ready for that now. And when you talk about assembling resources, people frequently think, oh, well, people, the primary thing is employees, but it's not just employees. It's customers, it's services that are provided to your business, suppliers, it's advisors, it's investors. It's a whole sequence of people that you bring around in order to make your business viably successful. And companies are collections of people, right? So the more that you can have all of the people deploying their competitive information, being up-to-date individuals in terms of how they proceed on their business, the more successful your franchise is going to be. Managers and employees. And part of what you're trying to do is deploy the collective abilities to the advantage as opposed to the lowest common denominator. So my general recommendation in these remarks is to adopt the new technologies, because your competitors will be, and it's important to stay competitive. One small example, already referred to, is the fact that there's a group on IoD, a group from IoD on LinkedIn. One of the things that happened is there was a bunch of discussion in that group about what is the relevance of Twitter for acquiring and maintaining customers. The ID folks saw that discussion. They created essentially a meetup at a local facility. Those people got together and they traded tips and tricks about how to use Twitter in order to make their businesses competitive. Another example, specific to the UK, many businesses here outsource a majority of their recruiting to recruitment services. And there's nothing wrong with recruitment services, but if you actually look at the economic incentives, the recruitment service economic incentive is to get you a person. Right? The thing that you need in order to stay competitive is the right person for the job, the absolute best person you can find. Not someone who is necessarily looking for a job, right? But in fact, a person who will help your business be competitive. LinkedIn is taken what we think is valuable and useful about how Silicon Valley operates. And it's not that Silicon Valley is the icon for all business, but there are some certain things that we do well. We do well in terms of operating at speed, innovating, inventing new technologies, and deploying those technologies in terms of how do we do business. What does it mean that we live in a networked modern world? Well, basically, information constantly comes at you, and there's different patterns. And one of the things that I think is going to happen is when you're trying to keep your business competitive, you don't just look at the ones around you in terms of what are people doing right next to you. You're trying to get the best information, the best ideas possible, and you're trying to align yourself with working with individuals who are themselves doing that in terms of their own professional expertise and career. Innovation is going to be essential, because if you look at how fast patterns, like for example, Silicon Valley was more or less dead in mobile until the iPhone came along. Now all of a sudden, we're relevant again off this one thing, and everyone's adopting. The whole mobile ecosystem is moving towards having applications on mobile phones now. So the real central question is whether or not you compete early or you compete late. You compete early, you get ahead of the curve, you try to embed your learnings in terms of your business practice and what you do, you're successful. You compete late, and it's a serious problem. I connect to everybody that I meet in person that I know well enough that I can recommend to other people, because that serves as an expertise and search space around me. And it both creates an environment by which people can be referred to me. So for example, my investment in Flickr, because I do a lot of angel investing, came sourced to me through LinkedIn, through a source that I trusted. And then I actually think one of the things that the future will bring is I actually think we're just beginning to see some more innovation in generally advertising networks and how advertising works online. AdWords is obviously the gorilla of interesting economics, but I think new things will be invented. Well, so what I do, and I don't think it's just because I have a specialty in working in this industry, is I leverage, I do everything from, like, for example, I follow certain blogs and certain tweets of people I know who are expert and have interesting ideas in this. We actually, a little bit like the comments I was making, we expect everybody in the company to be a little bit on top of what's going on generally, so that we have an important kind of intelligence, collective intelligence and discussion, so that people do not, because if you turn inwards and you only focus inwards, you don't see you don't get all that intelligence of what's happening. Sometimes it's good ideas, sometimes it's competitive threats, sometimes it's a new way of operating or a new way of elaborating your business. So we expect everybody in the company to actually, and this is part of the reason we build tools like this, to be actually, we have a company group where you share links from the web, and two guys in a garage. Disruption happens constantly. It's the specialty of Silicon Valley. And part of the reason why you actually need to constantly innovate is that if you don't, as stable and as strong as your business seems, the world will continue to change. And so you need to continue to adapt to it.